Hey, everybody, welcome to the Happier Attorney. I know it's been forever since I posted. This is the channel where I talk to attorneys about flat fees and mindset and how to use flat fees. So I'm Brita from the Happier Attorney, and I wrote the Happier Attorney and have the Happier Attorney program. First of all, an announcement. The Happier Attorney program is ending enrollment forever at the end of February 2026. I am moving on to personal development coaching full time. So, announcement there. You only have less than a month to get on board. Today, we're going to be talking about why hourly billing feels easier, or in some ways, maybe morally comforting, but it's false. Okay. So when you are billing by the hour, or sometimes if you're using flat fees but not using them well, it can feel better because it removes some of the things that you have to do with flat fees. So it removes any need to define the scope of what you're doing almost at all. Client comes in, I'm just going to do the work. I have no idea what's going to be involved, no idea how long it's going to take, and I'm just going to bill by the hour. Just plod along. It removes the need to predict any timelines. You're just going to do it until it's done. That could be a month, not really. Sometimes it could be years. I don't know. It removes the need to decide what is enough, how much work you need to put in, because you're just going to react to what needs to be done. And when things slow down or they get messy, not your fault, and you don't have to resolve it. You just keep billing. So this isn't about attorneys being lazy or not being responsible or bad faith. It's just how it works with hourly fees. It's a system where you can be ambiguous. It rewards effort instead of results. It allows you to justify any time spent. You were doing the work. It provides this kind of moral safety zone. So it also rewards you internally in that I've worked really hard. Look at all that I build. Although most attorneys are not tracking their time contemporaneously or at all. But you can look at all the documents. Look at how hard I worked. Look at all this time I spent in court. I'm working 50, 60, 80 hours a week. I'm working hard. I'm showing up. I'm doing the things. I'm putting in the time. That makes us feel good. Again, regardless of the outcome. And if a client is difficult or a case drags out, not my fault. I'm not in charge. I'm just responding to their motion. I'm just doing the things that need to be done. And that makes our clients really frustrated with no end in sight. And there's very little pressure to redesign the system, redesign the relationship, because the system keeps paying to endure it. Okay? So it allows, when you're in hourly fees, it allows you to just live in this system where you are just responsive. You're not taking control. You're not taking control of the cases. You're not taking control of your practice. I mean, you might do things that make you feel like you are, like, oh, I'm going to get new software. Or I'm going to do SOPs, or, but you're actually not taking control of your practice, and you're most certainly not taking control of your cases. With flat fees, what changes is that dynamic. What changes, among 1,000 other things, is that flat fees remove that automatic justification of time. You're trying to get things done as efficiently and effectively as possible. The time, for the most part, is irrelevant. Now, you're not going to shortchange the work, but you're not consciously or unconsciously dragging it out. You're getting in front of the case. You're directing the case. Now, you can't, if you have opposing counsel, you don't have control over them, but you do have influence, and you have a lot more influence than you think you have. What it also forces you to take control from the beginning, control of the relationship with your client and the case. It's forcing you to what appears to be, what can feel like, oh my gosh, that's so hard. It's not. Decisions and conversations at the beginning. What is included in the scope of your work? What is not included in the scope of your work? What happens if a client doesn't do his or her part? What does done actually mean? How long are you going to represent this client for each stage? And without those answers, that's when anxiety shows up. That's when resentment on both sides builds. I remember, if we're being honest with ourselves, I remember those cases where, I resented my client. Like, oh my gosh, can we just be done with this already? And then you add on top of that, if they're slow to pay or they're not paying you, holy cow, the resentment builds. And, I'd try and hide it. Of course they felt that. And of course it affected my work product. I still did the work, but of course that infected it. It's also when you feel exposed. Because this isn't, inside, there's part of us that knows this isn't right. We can justify it, but there's part of us that just knows this isn't right. And it doesn't feel good when your entire life is just responding to these outside things. I'll do this today if a client gets me the X, Y, and Z. I have to drop everything because I got this motion in because I wasn't on top of the case. And, some emergency practice areas, that's going to happen anyway. But when all of your day is just spent putting out this fire or just feeling like you're not in control, it doesn't feel good. So the risk when people are using flat fees or moving over to flat fees, I can tell you, they think it's financial. It's not. It's absolutely not. If you do what I tell you to do, there's zero financial risk. None. Quite the opposite. It's actually psychological and operational. You're going to have to make decisions earlier. You're going to have conversations that you think are going to be uncomfortable with your clients early. Here's what I will say about that. Number one, these conversations, especially if you have them right at the beginning with clarity and good boundaries, they're actually not uncomfortable. Because clarity is kind. Unclear is unkind. So when we have these conversations with our clients about this is what is expected of you, this is what you can expect from me, this is what it's going to cost, this is how long the fee agreement is for, and this is what we're going to accomplish. Obviously, you can't guarantee results, but you can say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm moving forward. This is what I expect from you. And by the way, when I say I need it in 10 days, this is what happens if you don't get it to me. clear boundaries, clear communication. Clients want that. They need that. It reduces their anxiety. And attorneys think that having those conversations up front is going to be so uncomfortable. I can tell you, A, it's really not, especially once you do it a couple times. And B, it's a heck of a lot less uncomfortable than 3 or 4 or 6 months later when you're having to have a really uncomfortable conversation with a client. Because you haven't been controlling the case. And they're still in it. They've paid you all of this money. Nothing's happened. And you're like, oh, look, all the paper, things have happened. They don't care how much paper has been filed. They care about the results. They care about getting through this. So those uncomfortable conversations, I can tell you, it's always better to have them up front. Always. But you want your structure. You want to be in control. Not just being responsive or worse, reactive. You're just constantly reacting to the next thing. Okay? And letting the mess continue. Okay? This is you taking authority of your practice. And flat fees force you to do that if you're using them properly. And it appears to be more work on the front end and more discomfort on the front end. It can be a little uncomfortable on the front end because you're having to step up. You're having to step up and make these decisions. I can tell you, it's so much better than the alternative. Okay? So stepping up and having that authority includes having a framework that you're sticking to that's going to actually prevent a lot of these bad things from happening. Okay? So, for instance, I had a client who was hesitant, hadn't had some what she thought were going to be uncomfortable conversations with clients about their duties in probate. Well, so then what happens is they're not doing it. Like, you know, what person wakes up and is like, ooh, I'm excited to do all my probate tasks today? Nobody. So our clients don't want to do it. There wasn't a great emergency to get it done. So they weren't doing it. And that created huge frustration on her part. Because this is going on and on and on, and it's just, you know, oh, that case is still there, that matter's still there, that matter's still there, that matter's still there. And she had charged a flat fee, but that's been, you know, gone. So now again, the resentment's building. And so we changed that to having those conversations up front. You don't have to be militant. It's not, your client's not going to get mad at you. They want clarity. They want to know what their responsibilities are. But if I don't have a deadline for something that I don't want to do, I'm not going to do it. Just like your clients. So having those conversations up front. Okay, this is our representation ends on this date, or when we get this done, whichever occurs first in time. Here's what I need you to do. Here's when I need you to do it. And absent an actual emergency, you're in a car accident or something like this, these deadlines are firm. And if you don't get it to me by this date, this is what happens. People want that. And how does that feel for you? You feel like you are now driving the bus. You are in control of your own law firm. Okay? Deadlines. You're going to have to figure out what happens when a client doesn't do it. Okay, maybe you give them a warning, maybe not, and then you're done. You're out. You can't just let it go on and go on and go on. Okay. But doesn't that feel better than just being at the mercy of when other people do things? You're going to have the conversations up front about communication. What questions are, how questions are handled. When can they expect responses? When not? Consequences, not punishment, just reality of what happens if they don't do what they're supposed to do. What happens when, especially in some practice areas like family law, oh my gosh, our clients need to know the rules. What happens when they do X, Y, or Z? Not just violate a court order, but do things that clearly are going to interfere with the case. They don't know what clearly interfere means. So again, you have to tell them. But what's going to happen beforehand? Number one, that prevents a lot of this from happening. And again, it's clear to them. You have to have boundaries with flat fees, and you have to enforce them. Not just, oh, that's in my fee agreement. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. And it does not do any good to have a boundary if you're not enforcing it. So this really might seem like, oh my God, that's so yuck, especially at the beginning. And, people aren't going to hire me if I am like, blah, 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 instead of just, oh, I just, bill it $400 an hour. I can tell you that the clients that you want that authority. They want you to be in charge. They want you to take charge. They don't want to be in charge. They don't know what they're doing, and they know they don't know what they're doing. But flat fees, when done properly, allow you to take control of your practice, your time, having that predictability. I know when this case ends. I know how much money I have. I know how much money I'm going to have on this date. Isn't that a lot better than just, I don't know, we'll see who pays me every month. We'll see how much I have to work this month depending on what all of these other people do or don't do. It gives you that urgency to get things done in a timely manner where you're not just avoiding things. So they also reduce that stress because you're in control. You're not just waiting for other people. So if much of your stress is coming from, reminding people to do things, tickling, like, okay, do I have this yet? Following up, managing expectations after the fact. This is not a billing problem. This is an authority problem. This is you not taking charge problem. Decisions were postponed. Communication wasn't clear. Boundaries were non-existent or not clear. That's a you problem. And I say that with kindness and love. It used to be me. But hourly fees allow you to avoid a lot of that. You think you're avoiding it. You're not. You're just postponing it and making it worse. Because your clients, it's not like when they're ticked off and you're like, I did all of this work. Look at all that look at all of the documents that I've done. It's not like they look at that and go, oh, she's right. I hadn't considered that. No. That makes it worse, quite frankly. And now you're just ticked off at each other. Flat fees remove that buffer, but it's a false buffer. It's a false buffer. But you have to learn how to use them properly. You have to have those boundaries. You have to have clear communication up front. You have to set the parameters up front and be clear about that. If you do that, there's nothing risky about them. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble real fast. So this isn't just about pricing, it's about boundaries, it's about taking control of your cases and your matters and the timelines and the expectations. So if you want help with any of that, link to the program below, happierattorney.com, and learn how to do it. Learn how to do it properly. But enrollment closes February 27th, permanently. Permanently. If this is resonating, pay attention to that. That's the work, not just the pricing. Take care, y'all.